What a day. You look lonely. I can fix that.
All the single furries, 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 all the single furries. Now put your paws up.
It is the year E621, and humanity has achieved technological ascension. One particular company, that's right, the one owned by Dr. Evil, rose to prominence and began investing resources into the study of bioengineering. And thus, the experiment species was born. The species you play as, or more commonly referred to as XBs, born through the fusion of fox, rat, and human DNA. Initially, the XBs would be subject to testing and experimentation in underground facilities, receiving specialized training on how to best capitalize on a very specific group of society's most vulnerable, yet most wealthy individuals. All done with the purpose of funding Lord Bezos's new toupee.
Oh my god, take it off! Take it off! I heard there's a treasure map under.
But the purpose and way of life of the XBs would be forever changed with the discovery of an all-new planet by a very wealthy and a very influential South African lad, who would discover that this new planet had a relatively easy space travel path and zero restrictions on freedom of speech. Planet Australia. And soon enough, the company began shipping thousands of experiments, buildings, and other miscellaneous cargo to planet Australia. Transport originally went very smoothly, until one very negligent fulfillment center associate would accidentally mislabel one of the shipments, causing it to arrive mistakenly on planet Australia. This included one vital piece of experimental technology, which now lay deep in the underground cave system beneath Australia, without any easy way to get it back. But rather than lament, the Amazon scientists saw this as a great opportunity to do more behavioral research on the experiments, by sending thousands, perhaps even tens of thousands of XBs down into the caves to retrieve this lost tech. The actual chance of success is low, below even 1%. But life is cheap to the Amazonians, and XB workers are willing to work for less than half of that of native-born human workers. And so, after a mandatory union-busting training video,
we are not anti-union, but we are not neutral either.
You, as one such unwilling and disposable specimen, are sedated, stuffed aboard a drop pod, and sent down into the caves to retrieve the tech. what could possibly go wrong? Casualties Unknown, or CU, is a community-described misery simulator, but could be more accurately described as a furry caving survival roguelike game. An exceedingly rare amalgamation of genres, but that just speaks to the game's complexity, and just the right amount of brutal difficulty to match its themes, and one with a very simple premise that I wager anyone can pick up. All you gotta do is get your XP alive from point A to point B across 5 different biomes. Hopping into CU, you'll immediately notice what I consider to be the game's greatest strength: its robust and intricate health and injury system. In CU, traditional health bars are gone. Instead, you have this. This is you, or rather, your XP. And this segmented body in the center of the screen is your XP's body. Each segment corresponds to a limb, and depending on the condition of your XP, there may be different symbols over these limbs, such as infections, dislocations, fractures, shrapnel, bleeding wounds. But by mousing over any of these limbs, you can also see the skin and muscle damage they've sustained. Generally speaking, skin damage usually relates to cutting damage, and muscle damage relates to impact damage. Then there's this panel on the left displaying all other health information, such as flavor text, the serial number of your vat-grown furry and their age, which can generate as young as the average chimney cleaner in Victorian-era London.
I will show you a miracle marvelous rare. Gentlemen, you are about to see something what rose from the dead. On the top of my head.
This little bar at the top is the most important, because this represents your brain health. This is the closest thing to a health bar you're going to find in CU. Brain health is slow to heal, and affects all aspects of XP's health. Dropping below 30% brain integrity will put XP into a coma. Dropping to 0 means total brain death. And anything in between has the potential to cause my personal favorite health condition, severe neurological deterioration. Yes, that's right. In Furry Caving Game, you can sustain permanent and severe brain damage, which is guaranteed to make your run a lot more colorful. Moving on from brain damage, we have your consciousness and pain levels. Onto your blood amount, your life juice, and the rate at which you are losing it. It may appear a little bit different in this game as well, your blood. You'll find that it looks oddly mustard adjacent. But you're going to want to keep that mustard inside of your XP at all costs, because losing too much will decrease your blood oxygen levels, which should be kept high in order to avoid hypoxemic organ failure. The rest of this information is quite self-explanatory, or more situationally important, like temperature, hunger, thirst, and radiation levels. Oh wait, how could I forget? Immunization. This is probably, without a doubt, the most important thing to keep high in the game. Forget what I said about brain damage. This is what matters most, as having a high immunity level is the difference between immunocompromised and achieving a high enough immunity level to become immunocompetent. Why is this important, you might ask? Because If something should happen to your XP down there in the caves, you can count on the company marking you down as a monkeypox death. This smiley face right here, this is important. This is XP's mood. You don't want to neglect this. I think that's enough furry caving game for one day. Let's be real for a moment, shall we? Life can, at times, get you a bit down. But when one considers the positive influences at work in their life, while being at the very least aware of the nadir suffering, then things seem just a little bit brighter. Things seem like they're going to be all right, even if only because it could be a lot worse. But remember what game we're playing here. To truly understand how mood functions in CU, you're going to have to put yourself in XP's metaphorical shoes. So imagine for a moment, you were never born. Not born, but gestated inside of a test tube within an underground laboratory somewhere in the Caribbean Sea. All you've ever known for the brief 10 loveless years of your existence is sterile tiles and experimentation. Then one day, during a routine experiment, you find yourself tranquilized.
Here, kitty, 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 kitty.
Waking up marooned on an alien world.
Hello, what planet are you living on? Planet Zog?
The company made your objective sound so simple. Go down into the caves and retrieve the tech. The catch, it may or may not even exist. And even if it does, your odds of getting it out alive are less than a whole number. The company hasn't even sent you with supplies, and only with minimal training, further highlighting just how much of a disposable wagey you are. You're tempted to just curl up in a ball and die on the spot. However, you don't want to suffer the pain of starvation, so you push on against all odds. But as soon as you step out of your life pod, you hit a launch pad, throwing you several dozen meters into the air. You begin the long tumble back down when suddenly... You awaken sometime later in a blurry haze. You are now missing an eye. Lower jaw ripped away from your face. All while mustard blood squirts out of you like a fire hose. The pain is mind-shattering, your life measured in minutes. As you bleed out in the darkness, alone, your thoughts begin to drift towards your remaining eye. Surely you hadn't been given eyes to witness such horrors. Then a moment of lucidity through the delirium. You were dead the moment you stepped foot on this planet. And besides...
Where we're going, we won't need eyes to see.
Conversely, there are things you can do to keep your XP happy. Some examples: maintaining an all-American diet.
Les poils étaient pignons, les vitons j'étais, et les jantons les oppas, les chichons l'étaient, on mange les temps, les teaspoons mélanges, mangeons les oppas, les gens les
Getting a good night's sleep. Originally, I had a whole skit planned for this bit, but then I realized, I'm one lethal overdose joke over the line, sweet Jesus. So, instead, I'll give you my pre-bed ritual in CU. First, find a high-quality sleeping spot. The softer the material your XP is sleeping on, the better the quality of sleep. Therefore, life pods make the best sleeping spots. Bonus points if there's a traitor inside. Then you need to give XP the following drug cocktail. 1 sleeping pill, Wash it down with a bottle of alcohol. Don't drink the entire thing or your XP will get sick. Then just microdose some morphine. I recommend a auto-injector for this to avoid taking too much. Then to top it all off, eat a mushtail. This will instantly knock out your XP. Finally, wake up and reap all the benefits. Other ways to keep your XP happy include meeting other XPs. And then we have certain drugs. And if all else fails, you could always chemically lobotomize yourself. But such a decision is permanent, so maybe hold off on that. You might have realized by now, but death in CU is no immediate game over, but rather a slow, agonizing crawl towards organ failure, brought about by the game's mechanics interacting in surprisingly complex ways, like pieces of a puzzle fitting together until the final image of your XP's rotting cadaver is revealed. But with a bit of common sense and mechanical understanding, these can also be exploited to your advantage. Listing every interaction would be impossible. Furthermore, I'm not going to do that. But here's some examples to show the game's depth, pun intended. Is your XP freezing to death? Well, try exercising. Yes, this actually works. Drank crude oil in a desperate attempt to slake your thirst? Congratulations, you're now extremely nauseous and throwing up what little fluids were left in your desiccated body.
What kind of place is this?
Stepped on a Lego brick? Enjoy passing out from pain shock. And spiraling into depression as a result. Have you got a life-threatening infection in your leg? No problem. Grab a sharp implement, press it against the infected limb, and use your mouse, moving it in a sawing motion to amputate your own infected flesh from your body. I just hope you ordered extra mustard. Your death is, after all, inevitable in the caves, but any number of circumstances can bring you to that point. If I had to describe this game beyond just furry caving sim, this game is like a Rube Goldberg machine, but from hell. Only instead of a marble beginning the machine, it's something as simple as bumping into a cactus, which jumpstarts the process of the slow death. Unforeseen. Unforgiving.
No! No, don't do it! No! No, don't do it! No!
Goodbye to the people who hated on me. Goodbye to the people who loved me.
Thank you, XP. This is a perfect segue to talk about traps. In the caves, you'll encounter many different traps and hazards, each one a death sentence if unprepared. Some of these are unique to the game's 5 different biomes or layers. And these dangers include hentai, punji sticks,
GI, your government has abandoned you. They have ordered you to die. GI, do not trust them. It is a very good idea to leave a sinking ship.
main menu transportation services, LRAD sound cannons, hostile Xenos fauna,
Young people from all over the globe are joining up to fight for the future.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part too.
They're doing their part. Are you? Join the mobile infantry and save the world. Service guarantees citizenship.
Come on! No! You want some? Get some! Yeah! Get some! Motherfucker! Come on, you bastard! Come on, you too! Oh, you want some of this?
I almost forgot to mention crafting. CU has an expansive crafting system that I'm not really doing justice with this video. Pretty much everything is craftable. Some objects are breakable and rippable, meaning you can turn objects into other objects. But if you're like me, you prefer to loot instead of craft, and you'll spend all your time crafting trash bags to strap to every part of your body.
Teleporter online. I have opened the path.
CU may appear at first to be a graphically simple game, with a graphical style that reminded me a lot of Starbound, if you've ever played that. but I'd have to say the sprite work in CU is actually weaker than Starbound. What CU does better than Starbound and a lot of other games is how it portrays status effects visually to the player. Just about every status effect in the game comes with its own distinct visual indicator, which compounds as you stack up injuries and ailments, until you can barely see and your XP can hardly move, putting you in the driver's seat of your XP's battered central nervous system.
What the fuck is this piece of shit?
Also, in my personal opinion, CU is developer Orsoniks' greatest sprite work yet. It's not necessarily that Gunsaw and GUI have bad graphics, it's just that this is peak. But when it comes to audio, CU is phenomenal. First of all, let's just get the soundtrack out of the way. It's a banger. Orsoniks has even included some of my favorite instruments like dial tone and heart rate monitor. Aside from having a bopping soundtrack, a lot of the status effects I mentioned earlier also have their own motifs. For instance, the screeching of mounting pain and agony until you can feel your own nerves starting to fray by proxy. Or the muffled sound of being trapped beneath the water, unable to resurface. Or the suffocating sound of mounting paranoia and hopelessness as your XP slowly succumbs to despair. Or the distant, yet ever-encroaching drones of death approaching. Casualties Unknown is a truly remarkable, if not highly disturbing game, and I couldn't recommend it enough, especially considering its asking price of nothing at all. A link will of course be provided in the description. Pick it up, try it for yourself, and give Orsoniks some support. Also, if you're curious, this game does have multiplayer through mods. I know this because I've seen other people playing it. As a final thought, before I give my final score, it will always fascinate me, the furry mind. There exists a duality within the furry mind that is scarcely observed anywhere else in society. See, if a furry puts their mind to creating something, you're guaranteed either one of two results. Either gooning material, or a shell-shockingly intricate emotional roller coaster that will utterly capture and enrapture you. At which point you spend the next 3 to 24 months glazing it to everyone you know, or don't know in my case. Any road, just a thought. I'll probably write a book about it someday, if I haven't been beaten to it. Nobody steal. Originally, my final score for Casualties Unknown by Orsoniks was going to be an 8 out of 10. I was going to take off 1 point for the story because it was kinda bare bones. But while I was making this video, the game updated. So that's been addressed, and there's a bunch of new story content in the game now. Plus, you have to take into account that the game is still in very early access at the time of recording this video. Then I was going to take off another point, because this game made me hyper aware of my own internal organs. But the more I thought about it, the more that sounded like a positive, actually. So with no criticisms to level against it, it stands to reason. I can only give Casualties Unknown by Orsoniks a perfect 10 out of 10 score. The potential for growth here is actually insane. Once CU is finished, all systems fleshed out, story complete, all 12 layers available, then this honestly has the potential to be a steep top seller. Because the appeal here isn't necessarily just to furries. I'm proof. Definitely. For sure. You can trust me. And there it is. Some random guy's review of the random furry masterpiece, Casualties Unknown by Orsoniks. A very special thanks to my loyal Patreons, and thank you so much for watching. God bless you all.